Namaskaram to all of you. Hari Om. I have a question on hand sent by Veena Dari. She writes, Pranams Master, after thinking a lot about being good even to the enemy, I have this intrinsic question which is popping up. When the enemy takes the good person for granted and never changes their behavior, what is the end of this cycle? The good person never stops being good, whatever pain she is facing, and the enemy will never stop causing pain to the good person. Then what are the consequences of such a situation? Please enlighten me with your wisdom, Guruji. Whether good or bad, please remember you are not the doer. The doership we have to forego. But many times we are not able to forego the doership. That's why such questions come. And we always presume we are good. That's the problem. How much you are good depends on what effect others feel of you, not issuing certificate to one's own self that we are good. Okay. Of course, you have not said that you are good. But the question generally looks like there is somewhere some presumption of good is there. Okay. Let us presume in the normal sense people being good, and there are some people who can harass them. And there are always troublemakers everywhere. Lord has only created them also. Lord has created you. Lord has created me. Lord has created the entire Jagat, all galaxies, entire universe. Everything has come from the supreme intelligence of universal consciousness. To us, he is Janardhan. He is named as Janardhan. So, being good to even evil. In fact, you are being good, you are not being good. You are just yourself, that's all. Once you start that you are being good, then it means that you are owning doership. Somewhere that is coming up. So you are able to see the difference between good, bad, right, wrong, all these discrimination you have. Because already you have formulated something called good. You have formulated something called bad. Maybe because of conditioning, maybe because of the society, maybe because of your own learning, maybe because of your own understanding of the subject, whatever may be the case. You have already arrived at some conditions whereby you have classified the good and the evil. Yes, Krishna did that. Krishna wanted to see what is the effect and consequences of a war between the good and the evil. That is why the Kauravas and the Pandavas fought at Kurukshetra, where Krishna was the witness. He wanted to see how many join with the good, how many join with the evil. Already, since the Lord was with the Pandavas, let us presume that that is the company of good. Since Kauravas were in the company of people like Shaguni, let us call that as evil, presume. So Lord wanted a match T18, 18 days, like T20. 18 days between the good and the evil, and Lord was the witness. Lord was watching everything. So, what you saw ultimately, yes, Hastinapur, Yudhishthira got, but his children were already killed. Then finally, after a few years, he left Hastinapur along with his wife, mother, brothers. He went to Himalayas for penance, repentance, whatever it is. The Kauravas were killed in the war. Ultimately, the balance is zero. So the sum total of good and bad ultimately, or the difference between the good and bad, becomes zero. But good is more constructive, good is more amiable, good is more amicable, good is more forbearing, good is more forgiving, good is a component of love and compassion, good knows no anger, good has no ego, good has no greed, good has no jealousy, good has no resentment. Good looks very beautiful. Since the nature of good is good, it can never think anything evil. Even if a war has to be fought, it will be fought by the good, the way it has to be fought. Not aiming at something out of vengeance or revenge. Not all that. The good, when it fights the war, it just fights the war because it has to fight the war. That's all. That's all. Being good doesn't mean the person remains silent, where his duty is to wage a war. If a war has to be fought, it has to be fought. Of course, you may lose many battles, but you have to win a war. Ultimately, the aim is to win the war. The good should win the war over the evil. So, being good also includes waging the war the way it has to be waged, without any revenge, without any aspect of negativity, not blindly winning the war. Winning the war ethically, winning the war aesthetically, respecting every person, respecting the beauty of the opponent also, learning from the opponent. The good always learns good things from the opponent. Nobody is totally good, nobody is totally bad or evil. There will be some very good things with the evil also, which the good may not be knowing. And by behaving that way, good is being taught by the evil how not to be, how to be and how not to be. Every one of us, we have both the qualities. We have the qualities of good, we have the qualities of the evil. We are more total. The presumption that we are very good and others are bad itself is very dangerous. That itself shows how devilish our mind is in not accepting others. In not accepting others as good. That itself is devilish. It is not a welcoming thing. It's not graceful on part of good to be that way. So, the good does its job, the evil does its job. See the evil, it is very clear. It is very, very clear. It just performs its duty, what is expected of it. The good also will not perform that kind of a duty, what is allotted to it. Whether a person is always good itself is a very big question mark today. He will be adopting some ways and means to win the war against the evil. Those ways and means may not be exactly ethical or acceptable just because it is being done by the good. So, it is a very big subject. It's a very vast subject. It cannot be generalized. From individual circumstances of individual cases, under those circumstances which existed at that particular point of time, needs to be evaluated. Needs to be evaluated to know where the good stands or where the evil stands. In fact, Krishna had categorized, even though you are an evil, if you are with the good, you are good. Even though you are good, if you are with the evil, you are evil. So, good people, anybody supporting the good, even individually they were evil. They were considered because the cause was a bigger cause. See, when you are working for a higher cause, some small things have to be compromised in life. Otherwise, you cannot do. In service to the nation, in service to your own family, in service to the Jagat, whatever there may be some causes which may be a highest cause. When you are looking at a very highest cause of doing good, some small compromises have to be made. So there is nothing like absolutely pure good or absolutely purely bad. Once again, it depends on individual circumstances of individual cases. But being good to one and all, without any fear, without any favor, without any prejudice or bias, being in the middle, so that we can see both the sides. Main problem with most of us is we are in the extremes, we are not in the middle. If you are in the middle, you will be able to see both the sides and you will be able to arrive at a conclusion. Arrive at a conclusion, analyze and understand the very subject and the very concept. Everybody fights for a cause. Please remember, without a cause, nobody is going to fight. There will be a cause, and the cause may be a devilish cause. Cause may be probably an impracticable cause, or the cause may be such that it may be affecting others also. There may be so many things. But everybody works for a cause. But good is a higher cause. And when we look with a larger perspective, covering everything, not just yourself, the goodness of a nation. Say suppose Hamara Bharat hai. This Bharat is very important for us. And we have to guard it safely from the threats which are there internally and externally. So for that is a larger cause. The larger cause is to protect the nation, to protect the culture of the nation, to protect the other threats what the nation will be facing. So this is very important. So that is the highest cause. We cannot compromise on that cause. All other causes here and there can be compromised. But the highest cause is to protect the nation. Like that highest cause is to protect the family. Have you understood? So, when we look at a larger perspective and a larger cause, even the good needs to be looked at, whether it is really the good. Yes, it is really the good because the cause is a larger cause. So, everyone has to look with a larger perspective to understand when I say that good must be good and it cannot change its nature or character. Love is always unconditional. But marriage is a commitment, marriage becomes conditional. Like that. Yes, goodness in you is unconditional. But even in a war, the goodness in you will always be exhibited. The negative intentions and devilish nature of the evil will always be exhibited in the war. When you look at the war, you will know who is devilish and who is very good, even though good is fighting the evil, because that is a larger cause. So your mother tongue, your mother language, your mother, your father, your family, your country, your tradition, your culture, your religion, these things cannot be changed. It is there inside the blood. It is there for thousands of years with you. Thousands of years. Even people who are switching over here and there due to certain reasons which we do not know. I don't want to comment on the reasons. But people who switch from one religion to another, inside them, if you see, it will be our own blood. That will speak for itself. They may be in different ways, but that will speak for itself. It will speak that Sanatana. So, there is nothing like absolute good or absolute evil. Once again, it is the quantum changes, quantum of good changes, and the larger cause comes into the mind. Never we can sacrifice the larger cause. That is very important. And we have to always protect the larger cause. That is where the good functions. That is how the good functions. So the consequences, of course, nobody is going to keep quiet. If some enemy country is going to invade your country, in the name of good, you are not going to keep quiet. The goodness here is you have to protect your own people, your own community people, and you have to protect the interest of the nation. This is all very important. So there the goodness is that way. The larger cause is to protect the humanity available here. So naturally we may have to wage a war on the neighboring country, whichever country it is, because the country is more important. Okay. Of course, it is once again related to so many cultural, traditional, so many things are there, not here and there. Of course, there are always jealousy people, there are always greedy people, they are there everywhere. You cannot simply say a politician is alone greedy or jealousy like that. There are very good politicians in our country. It is clearly known also. So some politicians may be selfish also. There also, even in the selfish politicians, if you see, they will be still the Robin Hood of some families. They would have really helped to some people. For them, they are the best people. Even though you may say that he is in evil, but for the families whom he has protected, he will be really a god, godfather, whatever it is. So, the goodness, yes, is looked from a larger perspective than a very narrow way of looking at it. Nobody is asking you to keep quiet. But can you wage a war? Or can you really argue with a person without bringing your personal things? Dispassionately, can you handle the subject? War for war's sake. That is where goodness shines. Good is always very superior. Yes, there are consequences of any war, between the good and the evil. It will be there. Any war will have its consequences. So similarly, you should keep those things in mind and not blindly saying good is not. I am saying from a larger perspective. The goodness in a person cannot change. It will always exist. Since the person is good, he can only think good, is it not? Of course, when it is a higher cause, he thinks a little bit more than good. That is the reason why we wage a war, if at all it has to be waged. Swadharmo nidanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha. Swadharmo nidanam shreyaha. Just keep doing your duty and let death be the resultant penalty thereof. By doing my duty, not duty just like that, duty with love. Duty just like that, without love, is something like an engine without a lubricant. Okay. It will be very noisy, cacophonous. But lubricant, that is love. With that lubricant, with that compassion, you must, even when war is waged, you must have that in mind. So the good has all those things: love, compassion, togetherness. So we should all join together to work for a common objective. That's what we say. So Swadharmo nidanam shreyaha. By doing your dharma, let death be the resultant penalty thereof. Let it result in death also, no problem. Paradharmo bhayavaha. Instead of doing somebody's duty and fearing throughout life. Most of the time, what is not ours, we will keep doing, and what is ours, we don't do. So, the goodness in us should bring an element of love in us, in all acts, what we do. And our perspective must be a larger perspective, and we must look for the larger good than one particular objective, keeping in mind and looking at things blinded. We have a blind, half blind, 3/4 blind. There is always a blind, and the blinder you put on the horse or the cattle to just look at the road in a particular way, so that it doesn't get distracted by seeing here or there. But that is not. Here you must have a vision of 360 degrees. You must be able to visualize everything and anything. That is where you become a visionary. So you must look at things with a larger objective if you are really good. In fact, evil looks at it with a very narrow objective. The objective of the good is large. The objective of the evil is very narrow. It is constricted. And it is very dangerous. When you start looking at things very narrowly, it is always dangerous. When the things we look at with a larger perspective, looking at it with a bigger vision, then we will be able to see much better things, and our actions will also be according to what we are seeing or according to what we have visualized. So goodness always has a larger perspective. Normally evil has a very narrow perspective. So when you function with a larger perspective, so many things may be included in goodness. And the questions cannot be asked to you because you are basically good. Nobody can counter you by asking question why it is like this, why it is like that. But ultimately everything comes down to doership. When you are very good, you will have a total non-doership attitude, and you will do things the way it has to be done. And that will be picture perfect because you are not the doer and Lord is the doer. God bless you all. Thank you very much. It was a great opportunity today to be with you. Thanks, Veena. It's a good question. Thank you.